What's going on, guys? John Alder here from CodingMe.com, and in this video, we're going to finish the logic for our tic-tac-toe game with Kivy and Python. All right, guys, like I said, in this video, we're going to build out the logic for our tic-tac-toe game. But before we get started, if you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out CodingMe.com, where I have dozens of courses with hundreds of videos that teach you to code. Use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off memberships, all my courses, videos, and books for one-time fee of just $49, which is insanely cheap. Okay, like I said, in this video, we're going to build out the logic here. So we can say, hey, we win. And here at the bottom, it says X wins. We could go again. Hey, X wins. If we sort of, let's see, kind of X, let's see here. There we go. It's a tie. So that's what we're going to look at in this video. So let's head back over to our code. I'm using the Sublime Text Editor and the Git Bash terminal as always. And as always, you can find a link to the code in the pinned comment section below, as well as a link to the Kivy playlist with all the other videos in the series. So check that out if you haven't so far. So we've got our two files, toe.kv and toe.py, and we're not going to be doing anything in this toe.kv file in this video. And all we have to do in this video is work on the logic. And one thing I did right after the last video that I didn't put on camera is I went into my restart function and I added this label to where when we hit the restart button, it says X goes first, just a little thing. And as soon as I finished that video, I'm like, oh, we should have done that. And I forgot. So I just went ahead and did that. So now we need to determine every time we click a button, hey, did that person just win or not? So we've got our presser function, and this is where we actually click the buttons and do stuff. You know, we put the X in there if it's X's turn, we put the O in there if it's O's turn, change the label around. We also want to come down here, and when all of the things have been done to the buttons, we need to run another function to say, hey, did they win or not? So let's call self.win. And we haven't actually created this function yet, so we need to do that. And then let's say check to see if won. So let's come up here and let's define win. And we want to pass in self. And let's come up here also and create a variable to say keep track of win or lose. And I'm just going to call this winner and set it to false when the game starts. So when the game starts, obviously we don't have a winner. If somebody wins, we'll flip this to true down here. So first, let's go across. We also need to find down, and we also need to find diagonal. So when somebody gets 3 in a row across in any of the 3 across rows, we need to check and see if that happened and then do something accordingly. So let's do an if statement. So let's say if self.root.ids.button1.text is not empty, right? So the first thing we need to know is, hey, have somebody click this thing? If somebody clicked it, there'll be an X or an O in it. Otherwise, it'll be empty. So if it's not empty, this is Python for not, right? And let's just copy this. And now we just need to set up some equal to stuff. So if button 1 is equal to, let's say, button 2, and button 2 is equal to button 3. So the buttons are just 1, 2, 3 across, right? So if all of these things are true, then what do we want to do? Well, let's run another function called endGame. And we haven't actually created that yet. So in our endGame function, this will take care of all the things that we want to happen when the actual game ends. So here, if this is true, it means somebody won. And if they won, we need to end the game, right? So when we end the game, we also want to pass these buttons in, because one of the things we want to do when we end the game is change the color of the buttons across, right? So here we can just self.root.ids.button1. And I'm just going to copy this 2 more times, 2 and 3, and then change this to button 2 and button 3. So, okay, that looks good there. Now let's real quickly come up here and define endGame. And we want to pass in self. We also want to pass in these 3 buttons. So I'm just going to call them, I don't know, A, B, and C. Doesn't really matter. And what do we want to happen when somebody wins? Well, first, let's change that self.winner variable to true. And then also let's change the color of our buttons. So our buttons are A, B, and C. So we could just say A.color and set that equal to red. And this is going to be B.color and C.color. So that'll take care of that. We also want to disable all the buttons, right? So have we created a function to do that yet? We have a restart function. No. So let's also disable the buttons. And to do that, I'm going to call self.disable underscore all underscore buttons. We haven't created that yet. We will in just a second. And let's also put up a label that says who won. So set label for winner. And that's just going to be self.root.ids.score. Remember, our label is called score.text. And let's create an F string here. And inside of here, we know who wins because whatever the text of one of these buttons is, that's who the winner is. So we could just call a.text, right? And then let's say wins. Okay, so now finally we need this disable all buttons function. So let's come up here and say end the game. And here let's define disable all buttons. We want to pass in self. And let's find a list of all of our buttons. Here they are. Here we're enabling all the buttons. I can just copy this. And let's say disable all the buttons. So we could just set this equal to true for each of these. So let me just do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this and see if this if statement worked. We did that pretty quick. So I'm in my C Kivy MD directory, my virtual environment's turned on, and let's run python toe.py. Uh-oh, we have an error in our if statement. Look what I did there. Use single equal to signs. So let's come back here. It's Monday morning. So for if statements, we need double equal to signs. Of course we do. Here we go. Okay, that looks good. So let's save this and run it. Give it another try. Python toe.py. And here we could just really quickly win. Boom, this all turns red. It says X wins there. Let's try it again with O. You'll notice this time it doesn't turn red, but it does say O wins. So we'll have to fix that as well. So, okay, that worked. So now, as crazy as it is, we have to come through here and do all of the game-winning scenarios. So if we come back here, let's start with a cross. So we've done this one, this row. Now let's do this row and this row, just straight across. So we've got two more crosses to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this whole thing. And I'm just going to paste it in 2 more times. So now we want the middle. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to put right here 4, 5, and 6, just so we can keep track of them. So let's start this out. So if button 4 is not empty, then if button 4 is equal to button 5, and if button 5 is equal to button 6, then we want to do something. Okay, so now the last one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the last row of the bottom button. So let's go 7, 8, and 9. So again, here we start out with 7. If 7 is not empty, then if 7 equals 8, and if 8 equals 9, then do a thing. So, okay, let's save this and run it and make sure those all worked. Let's start in the middle. All right, so X wins there. Restart the game. 0 wins there. And you'll notice they are red this time. We'll get into why sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. So if you do it twice, they're not, which is kind of weird. Well, we can fix that in just a minute. So, okay, that seems to work. Now let's do up and down. Let me pull this back up again. So this is button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1, 4, and 7 down. So, okay. And you might want to just write these on a piece of paper so you can glance at them, the numbers, just so you don't forget, but whatever. So we're just going to wing this. So we need 3 of these. So let's go 1, 2, 3. So the first one is going to be 1, what do we say, 4, and 7. So if 1 is not empty, then if 1 equals 4 and 4 equals 7. Okay, that's good. So the next one is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 2, 5, and 8. So let's start out here. If 2 is not empty, then 2 equal to 5 and 5 equal to 8. Okay. And then the last one in this set is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9. So 3, 6, and 9. It's an easy one to remember. So if 3 is not empty, then if 3 equals 6, and if 6 equals 9, then somebody has 1. So, okay, let's save this and run it, see how that looks. So, boom, boom, that one works. Let's try this one. That one works. And that one works. Okay, so now we need the diagonals. This one, this one, and this one. This one, this one, and this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1, 5, and 9 is the first one. And there's only 2 of those, so this will go quick. So 1, 2. So what do we say? 1, 5, and 9. So if 1 and 1, if 1 equals 5, and if 5 equals 9, all right, that looks good. The next one is 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7. So 3, 5, and 7, right? So knock this one out real quick. So if 3 is not empty, and then if 3 equals 5, and if 5 equals 7. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this and run it. Make sure that works. Diagonals are tricky. Okay, so that one works. And then that one works. And you'll notice this one is not red. So let's go ahead and fix that. So when we click this restart button, we need to sort of reset the colors because Kivy gets a little confused, right? So we could do that real quick. So when we restart, instead of clearing the buttons, let's reset the button colors. So instead of this being .text, this will just be .color. So just change all of these real quick. And honestly, you can change this to anything you want. Maybe you can even leave it blank, but we could just change it to green. It won't actually change this to green, but it will reset it and fix our little glitch. So let's run this again, make sure that worked. So there we go, red across. We hit restart. Notice they're not green, and we could do red again. So, okay, now that works. So now, basically we could be done here, or we could play around to where, let's see. Oops, it's hard to not win, right? So we could play around here to where, let's see, this is gonna be X, O, and X. Okay, so now it says O's turn, and there's no more spaces to go. So we probably need to build a little something in there that says, hey, the game's over, nobody wanted to tie. So we could do that. So let's head over to our winner section here, our win function. And at the bottom of this is all the things, these are all the combinations if somebody won. But if we went through each of these and nobody won, and all of these were false, right? We could just then call self.SumFunction. And I'm going to call this no winner. Right? So let's head over here and say no winner. And let's define no winner. And let's pass in self. So remember, we've got this thing that when we win and we end the game, it changes the winner to true. Otherwise, the winner is false. So we could say, hey, if self.winner equals false, but not just that, we also need to say and something else. I'm going to put these on different lines because there's going to be a lot of them. So if all of the buttons are disabled and there's no winner, because winner is set to false, that means the board is filled up and nobody has won, right? So what we need to do here is call all of our buttons, run an if statement on all of our buttons and say, hey, are they all disabled? So I could just copy this and let's paste all these in. And instead of single equal to signs, we need double because this is an if statement, right? We're not assigning here, we're asking basically, right? So if we have no winner and this button's disabled and this button's disabled and all these buttons are disabled, then do something. So this slash allows us to put multiple lines on the screen. So I'm just gonna paste in each of these real quick. This last one will be a colon. Then let's set the self.root.ids.score.text to say it's a tie, right? So when we restart, we need to make sure that self.winner gets switched back to false. So let's find our restart function. And at the bottom of this, let's say reset the winner variable. And let's just go self.winner equals false. So when we start the game over, nobody will have won. Winner is false. So, okay, let's go ahead and save this, run it, see if that worked. Again, it's so hard to, let's see, not win at this game. So this is going to be XOX. There we go. It's a tie. All the buttons are disabled. We can't play any longer. If we restart the game, everything still works. We can play again. That still works. We can try different areas. That works. We can do it again to make sure it's still red. And that works. And that's pretty much it. And we're done. So that's tic-tac-toe. Pretty simple. Now there is probably 1,000 ways to do this. And you could see we weren't terribly efficient. We did lots of these long list of buttons. You could probably find a way to scrunch that down into smaller amounts of code. I'll leave that to you. It's kind of a fun challenge. Even this is a lot of code, and there's probably a more efficient way to do it, but that works, and that's easy to follow and pretty simple. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out Codemy.com where you can use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off memberships. The page is $49 to access all my courses, over 47 courses, hundreds of videos, and the PDFs of all my best-selling coding books. Join over 150,000 students learning to code just like you. My name is John Elder from Codemy.com, and I'll see you in the next video.